I was the reason the wedding stopped. Not the pastor. Not the bride. Not the groom. Me. My name is Didi and I was the chief bridesmaid. By 10:30 a.m. the church was full. Guests were seated. The music was ready. The bride, Nora, was glowing in white. Everyone said she looked like answered prayer. I smiled when they looked at me, but inside my heart was screaming. The groom, Chris, stood at the altar. Calm. Hands folded. The same calm hands I once imagined holding mine. I had known Chris for 3 years. Long before Nora. We worked in the same office. Ate lunch together. Prayed together during hard times. When my father died, he was the one who sat with me until midnight. I told myself my feelings were harmless. I told myself they would fade. They didn't. Dad, he met Nora. And chose her. When Nora asked me to be her bridesmaid, I said yes with a smile so wide it hurt my face. But that morning, standing behind the curtain watching Chris adjust his tie, something inside me snapped. My phone buzzed. Last chance, the message in my head whispered. If you don't stop this now, you will lose him forever. The doors opened. The music started. And I took my first step forward, not to support the bride, but to ruin everything. I didn't plan to stop the wedding that day. At least that's what I told myself. I only wanted time. One conversation. One moment for Chris to see what was right in front of him. I believed, truly believed, that Nora didn't know him like I did. She laughed easily. Trusted fully. Loved loudly. I thought love should be quieter. Deeper. Like mine. As we walked down the aisle, my heart beat faster than the drums. I watched Chris's face light up when he saw Nora. That look should have been for me. During the opening prayer, my hands were shaking. I could barely hold the bouquet. Then the pastor said, "If anyone has any reason why this union should not take place." I stepped forward. The church gasped. Nora turned slowly. Her eyes met mine, confused but gentle. "Didi," she whispered. My mouth was dry. My knees felt weak. Every eye in the room burned into my skin. I have something to say," I said. Chris looked at me shocked. "Didi, what are you doing?" This was my moment. The moment I had replayed 100 times in my head. But standing there, hearing Nora's soft breathing beside me, something unexpected happened. For the first time I saw fear in her eyes. And suddenly I wasn't sure who the villain really was. But his love, I was beginning to realize, should not leave this much damage behind. After the gasp settled, the pastor cleared his throat. "This is a serious moment," he said gently. "Young lady, are you certain?" I nodded, even though my heart was trying to escape my chest. Nora reached for my hand. "Didi," she whispered, "if something is wrong, tell me later. Please." That word, please, cut deeper than anger ever could. But I had gone too far to stop. "I'm only trying to protect her," I said loudly. "There are things about Chris she doesn't know." The church began to murmur. Phones lifted. Someone coughed. An elder stood up halfway, then sat back down. Chris looked at me like I had become a stranger. "Didi, you know me," he said. "Why are you doing this here?" "Because if I didn't do it here, I would never be brave enough again." I turned to Nora. "He gets close to women when they are vulnerable. He doesn't mean to, but he confuses kindness with love." That part was true. Just not in the way I meant. Nora's face went pale. "Chris, is this true?" He shook his head slowly. "I've never crossed a line. Never." The pastor raised his hand. "We will pause this ceremony. Let's move to the side room." The choir stopped singing. The doors closed. And as the guests whispered behind us, I felt something strange. Relief. Because the wedding had stopped. And I still had a chance. Or so I thought. The side room was quiet, but the silence was heavy. Nora sat on one chair, her veil pushed back. Chris stood across from her. The pastor and 2 elders watched closely. Me. I stood in the corner, pretending to be calm while my thoughts raced. "Speak clearly," the pastor said to me. "What exactly are you accusing him of?" This was where the truth should have come out. But instead fear answered first. I think he's confused, I said carefully. He leans on other women emotionally. That can hurt a marriage. Chris's eyes widened. Didi, you came to my office after your father died. I prayed with you. That's all. The room went quiet. Nora turned to me slowly. Is that what this is about? I opened my mouth then closed it, because suddenly the picture looked different from this angle. The elders exchanged glances. Chris took a step forward, his voice firm but calm. I love Nora. I have never loved anyone else. If I've been kind to you, it was never meant to lead you on. Didi, you introduced us. The room fell silent. That sentence landed like a stone. Not angry. Not defensive. Just clear. Nora stood up. Her hands were shaking but her voice was steady. Didi, she said softly, are you in love with my husband? The question hung in the air like thunder. And in that moment I understood something terrifying. If I answered honestly, I would lose everything. But if I lied, I would become exactly what I feared. And the choice was standing right in front of me. I felt my throat close. The room was waiting. Nora's eyes were not angry. They were hurt. That made it worse. I looked at Chris. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't confused. He looked disappointed. That was the moment the truth stopped hiding. Yes, I said. The word came out small but it felt loud. Yes, I am. Silence fell hard across the room. Nora blinked slowly like she needed time to understand what she just heard. Chris ran a hand over his face. Didi, I never knew. I didn't want you to know, I said quickly. I thought it would go away. I thought if I stayed close maybe you would see me. The pastor sighed deeply. Nora sat down again. So you stopped my wedding, she whispered, because you hoped he would choose you instead? I couldn't answer. Because that was exactly what I had hoped. The elders stepped aside and spoke in low voices. I heard words like immaturity and emotional confusion. Chris's voice broke through. Didi, you are my friend. But I have never given you a promise. Not once. He was right. He never did. I built a future inside my own head. And today I almost destroyed 2 lives because of it. Nora wiped her tears. I need 5 minutes alone, she said. She walked into another room. The door closed. And I realized something painful. This was no longer about love. It was about damage. And I had caused it. The 5 minutes felt like 5 years. The church outside was restless. I could hear whispers through the walls. Some guests had already started recording videos. This would not stay private. The pastor turned to me. Young lady, do you understand what you've done? I nodded. Tears burned my eyes now. I wanted to protect her, I said weakly. No, he replied gently. You wanted to protect your feelings. That sentence pierced straight through me. Chris stood quietly. He did not shout. He did not insult me. That made it worse. I'm sorry, I whispered to him. He shook his head. You don't owe me that. You owe her. The door opened. Nora stepped out. Her makeup was slightly smudged, but her back was straight. She looked at Chris first. Do you love me? She asked. With everything in me, he answered without hesitation. Have you ever crossed a line with Didi? Never. She nodded once. Then she turned to me. I forgive you, she said softly. But forgiveness does not remove consequences. Her voice did not shake. You will not stand beside me today. That hurt more than I expected. The pastor cleared his throat. Shall we continue the ceremony? Nora took Chris's hand. Yes, she said. The doors reopened. The music started again. But as I stepped aside away from the bridal line, I felt the weight of every eye in that church. Because now everyone knew. And the bridesmaid who tried to stop the wedding was the only one not smiling. When we walked back into the church, the air felt different. Not joyful. Not peaceful. Heavy. Guests stared as Nora and Chris returned to the altar. I walked behind them but not in the bridal line. I sat alone in the front pew, no longer a bridesmaid. Just a witness to what I almost destroyed. Whispers moved across the room like wind. That's her. She tried to stop it. Because of jealousy. The words burned, but I did not defend myself. The pastor resumed the ceremony. His voice was steady, but everyone could feel the tension. When Chris said his vows, he did not look at me once. When Nora said hers, her voice trembled only slightly. I choose you, she said. Those 3 words hit me hard. Love is not about who feels the most. It is about who chooses clearly. When the pastor pronounced them husband and wife, the church erupted in applause. Loud. Relieved. Almost desperate. But as they walked down the aisle together, something unexpected happened. Nora paused beside me. She leaned down and whispered, "You need to heal, Didi." Not angry. Not cruel. Just honest. Then she walked away. The reception went on. Music played. Cameras flashed. But I left quietly before the cake was cut. Because the real storm had not ended. It was only beginning inside me. And that night I would finally face the one person I had been avoiding. Myself. I didn't answer calls for 2 days. My phone buzzed non-stop. Friends. Relatives. Even my mother. The wedding video had already started spreading online. Bridesmaid confesses love at altar. Wedding drama in Lagos church. People love drama when it is not their life. On the 3rd day, Nora sent me a message. "Come over. We need to talk." My heart raced. I expected anger. Maybe insults. Maybe a final goodbye. When I arrived at her apartment, she opened the door herself. No makeup. No wedding glow. Just Nora. She made tea. We sat across from each other like strangers. "I need to understand," she said calmly. "When did it start?" I told her everything. The lunches. The late-night talks after my father died. The comfort I mistook for connection. I built something in my head, I admitted. He never promised me anything. Nora listened quietly. Then she said something I did not expect. "I almost called off the wedding." My head snapped up. "For 5 minutes," she continued. "Your words shook me. That is how powerful insecurity can be." Tears filled my eyes. "I'm sorry," I whispered. She nodded. "I forgive you. But trust takes time to rebuild." Before I left, she added one final sentence. "If you truly care about him, let him be happy." That night I cried for the first time, not because I lost Chris, but because I finally saw myself clearly. And the truth was not pretty. The apology could not stay private. That was the hardest lesson. By the end of the week, blogs were still posting clips from the wedding. People were choosing sides. Some said I was brave. Others called me wicked. None of them knew the full truth. So I decided to tell it myself. On Sunday I returned to the same church. My legs shook as I stood before the congregation. The pastor gave me the microphone. The room went quiet. "My name is Didi," I said. And I was wrong. A soft murmur ran through the hall. I stopped a wedding because I confused kindness for love. I hurt my friend because I did not deal with my own emotions. I took a deep breath. The groom did nothing wrong. The bride showed me grace I did not deserve. Some people nodded. Others wiped their eyes. "I am not proud of what I did," I continued. "But I am choosing to grow from it." When I stepped down, my chest felt lighter. After service, Chris approached me. "This was necessary," he said calmly. "Thank you for telling the truth." "I wish I had done it sooner," I replied. He smiled gently. "We all learn differently." As I walked out of the church, I felt something shift inside me. For the first time, I was not hiding behind love or jealousy. I was standing in truth. And truth, even when it hurts, always heals. 3 months later, life felt quieter. Healthier. I started therapy. I learned how grief had shaped my attachments. I learned how silence can grow into obsession if left unchecked. One evening, Nora invited me over for dinner. She was laughing when I arrived. Chris was setting the table, normal and peaceful. After dinner, Nora hugged me. "I see the change," she said softly. "So do I replied. Before I left, she said something I will never forget. Love that hurts others is not love. Love that tells the truth is. As I walked home under the streetlights, I thought about the wedding day, the gasp, the fear, the shame. I thought about how close I came to destroying something beautiful. But I also thought about what came after. Growth. Forgiveness. Healing. Sometimes the villain is not an evil person. Sometimes it is an unresolved heart. I was the bridesmaid who refused to let the wedding happen. But I was also the woman who learned to step back, tell the truth, and let love choose its own path. And that was the day I learned this lesson for life. Love is not proven by possession. It is proven by restraint. That is how the story ended. Not with ruin, but with peace. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, made you smile, or kept you glued to the screen, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next one. Drop a comment. I'd love to know your favorite moment. Share this video with someone who loves good storytelling. And of course, hit the like button if you enjoyed this journey. More emotional, romantic, and powerful stories are coming your way. Stay tuned and stay in love.